Exterior decals, stripes, and wood grain overlays have become important styling features on today's AMC, Jeep, and Renault vehicles. That's why loose, damaged, or misapplied decals call for certain repair and replacement skills. Learning these skills is easy. This training release will show you the proper techniques for repair as well as replacement. Here's what you'll be working with. The decals, stripes, and wood grain overlays are made of tough, durable vinyl. They have a strong bonding, pressure-sensitive adhesive that is protected by a paper backing. The backing is peeled away to expose the adhesive for installation. The face of the decal is also protected. It is covered with an easy-release mask, which protects it from scratching, stretching, or wrinkling. The mask is peeled away after installation. Let's talk first about repair procedures. You'll need to know these procedures for repairing nicks and scratches, blisters and bubbles, wrinkles, loose wraps, and stone pecking on wood grain overlays. Small nicks or scratches can be touched up with paint. Make sure you get the proper color match by mixing small amounts of the appropriate colors. To repair blisters or air bubbles, first pierce them with a sharp needle or pin. Don't use a razor blade or knife because the cut may ruin the decal. Also, it may break the vehicle's paint, opening a spot for future corrosion. After the blister or bubble has been pierced, use a squeegee and carefully work the trapped air out through the pinhole. Then press the blistered area of the decal firmly against the panel. Occasionally, a heat gun may be needed. Heating will soften and reactivate the decal's adhesive backing to ensure a stronger bond of the previously blistered or wrinkled area. A heat gun may also be the answer for removing small wrinkles or irregularities. Be careful not to overheat. Overheating will cause the overlay or decal to shrink or even melt. Another common repair procedure involves that for repairing loose wraps. This is often needed for decals and overlays at the door and fender edges. A frequent cause of the problem is improper surface preparation behind the door or fender, although improper handling of the decal or overlay during installation may have damaged the adhesive backing. In either case, first make sure that the surfaces behind the door and fender edges are properly cleaned. Then, using a heat gun or small amount of a solvent, such as isopropyl alcohol, prepare the adhesive for good bonding. And finally, press the loose ends into place. The easiest repair for wood grain overlays that have suffered extensive damage, such as stone pecking, is to place a new overlay over the damaged one. The first step is to remove the necessary moldings and feather sand the damaged areas using a 400 grade sandpaper. Then use a filler, such as 3M spot putty. A rubber squeegee may be used to fill the voids in the overlay with putty. After sanding the putty, clean the entire surface of the damaged overlay with denatured alcohol or a cleaner, such as 3M General Purpose Adhesive Cleaner. Finally, a new overlay can be placed directly over the existing wood grain. This procedure eliminates the time-consuming removal of the existing overlay. Before installing the new overlay, be sure to carefully inspect the old overlay for any blisters or poor adhesion. While the new overlay will adhere strongly to the old one, the quality of the replacement is limited by the condition of the existing overlay. On those occasions when repair isn't possible, such as when there is extensive damage to the decal caused by sheet metal damage, the decal or overlay may have to be removed and replaced. Replacement involves these 5 steps. 1. Decal or overlay removal. 2. Old adhesive removal. 3. Body panel cleanup. 4. Installation preparation. And 5. The new decal or overlay application. We'll detail these procedures for wood grain overlays, but also highlight some interesting points about striping kits and lettering decals. Let's begin with overlay removal. You will first clean the overlay surface and adjacent panels. Then remove any parts, such as moldings, that overlap the overlay. Next, you'll remove the overlay using either a heat gun or chemical remover. The heat gun can be used on lacquer or enamel surfaces, while the chemical remover can only be used on enamel surfaces. With the heat gun, start at the overlay edges. Once the overlay is softened, start in one corner and peel the overlay away from the panel. A plastic or hard rubber squeegee will help remove the overlay. On vehicles with enamel finishes, using the chemical method may speed decal and overlay removal. First, mask off the surrounding area and scuff sand the complete overlay with 220 grade dry sandpaper. Avoid cutting through the vinyl. Scuff sanding the overlay allows the chemical remover to penetrate the surface and better loosen the adhesive bond. Before applying the chemical remover, such as 3M wood grain and stripe remover, make sure the area is well ventilated. Also, observe the manufacturer's warnings printed on the label. Then, clean off the remains from scuff sanding and spray 3M wood grain and stripe remover on the overlay. Apply it liberally in a uniform left-to-right pattern, covering the edge areas first. Recoat the overlay a second time, moving from top to bottom to assure thorough coverage. The gel-like consistency of the remover prevents it from dripping or running off the panel. Allow the remover to sit for 15 to 20 minutes. Less time will not soften the adhesive. More time will lessen the remover's effectiveness because of solvent evaporation. For high metallic decals, or for overlays that have been in service for some time, you may want to cover the sprayed overlay with plastic sheeting. The plastic will trap the solvent vapors and make removal easier. Make sure the remover doesn't react with the plastic, though. You may end up with a sticky problem on your hands. After the remover has been on the overlay for 15 to 20 minutes, the surface will become white and crusty, ready for removal. Begin in one corner and peel the overlay away from the panel. If there is any difficulty in peeling, use a squeegee to assist in removing the overlay. With the old overlay removed, the next step is adhesive removal. Simply spray on 3M adhesive remover or an equivalent product in a left-to-right and then top-to-bottom motion. Again, make sure the work area is well ventilated and observe the manufacturer's warnings printed on the label. The 3M adhesive remover should be left on the panel surface for 3 to 5 minutes. Unlike wood grain and stripe remover, adhesive remover may be used on vehicles with either lacquer or enamel finishes. After 5 minutes, remove the adhesive residue using a plastic squeegee. If necessary, apply more adhesive remover to troublesome spots. The third step in this replacement procedure is panel cleanup. First, remove the masking materials. Then clean the entire body panel with a clean rag saturated with 3M general purpose adhesive cleaner or a solution of detergent and water, and allow the panel to dry thoroughly. Next, you're ready for step 4, installation preparation. First, to provide a superior adhesive bond, the painted surface must be scuff sanded using number 360 or 400 sandpaper. Scuff sand for overlays only. Freshly painted surfaces must be thoroughly dry. Any residual solvents remaining in fresh paint may cause overlays and decals to blister. Then, if for some reason the vehicle was stored outside for a while, make sure the body panels are at the proper temperature, ideally about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. In hot weather, a cold water hose down will lower the panel temperature. And in cold weather, simply move the vehicle into a heated work area. Now you are ready for step 5, overlay application. The most important thing here is to make sure the work area is clean and dust-free. First, position the overlay on the panel surface. Mark the approximate outline on both the panel and the overlay with a grease pencil. Allow at least 1/2 inch of excess to be wrapped around the door and fender areas. Using scissors, cut the overlay to the approximate size. Cut the overlay so that the upper and lower edges extend halfway into the area covered by the panel moldings. Next, place the overlay on a clean, flat surface with a protective paper backing upward. and bend a corner of the overlay toward the decorative face side. Then, with a flick of the finger, separate the paper backing from the overlay. The paper backing can then be peeled from the overlay. Always remove the backing from the overlay. Never peel the overlay from the backing. The vinyl film may stretch, resulting in a damaged overlay. Next, prepare a wetting solution by mixing 2 or 3 teaspoons of liquid dishwashing detergent in 1 gallon of water. Don't use too much detergent, and never use soap. Otherwise, you'll reduce the adhesive's bonding ability. Using a clean sponge, apply this wetting solution to the overlay's adhesive, as well as to the body panel. The solution temporarily deadens the adhesive and permits easy positioning of the overlay on the panel. Apply the wetted overlay to the vehicle immediately. Position the overlay in the center of the area to be covered. Allow at least 1/2 inch to extend beyond all edges. Pressurize the overlay by squeegeeing a short 4 to 6 inch horizontal section of the overlay in the center of the panel. Some wetting solution on the overlay surface will help the squeegee slide smoothly. Squeegee from the center of the overlay to the edges. Use firm overlapping strokes to remove all air bubbles and wetting solution. Never use your hand because you'll leave air bubbles. To simplify installation, lift the left side of the overlay. Hold it out straight and close to the panel. Squeegee from the center toward the lifted edge. Avoid stretching the overlay. Next, lift the upper edge of the overlay on the same end. Work upward from the bonded section at the center. And finally, lift the lower edge of the overlay. Work downward from the bonded section at the center. If a wrinkle is trapped during application, stop immediately. Carefully lift the wrinkled area and reposition the overlay. Do not lift the overlay if only a few bubbles are trapped. Notch the corner or curved edge of the overlay where necessary and trim off any excess material. Allow at least 1/2 inch of extra material beyond edges that are to be wrapped around flange areas. To wrap the overlay around the flange areas, press the overlay into position. Then squeegee, alternately using the heat gun and pressing until you have complete adhesion. To complete the job, carefully cut out any openings in the panel and install any parts which were removed. Finally, inspect the overlay installation using reflected light from a shop light to find any irregularities that may have developed. Remove any air bubbles or blisters. To install large decals, such as the hood stripe on the Jeep Renegade, position the decal and fasten it in place with tape. Next, mark the decal location with a grease pencil. If an existing decal must be removed, follow the same procedure for removing overlays. On a vehicle that has been in use for some time, you will notice some paint fading in the uncovered area. The outline formed by the paint fading may also be used to position the new decal. Next, place the hood decal on a clean, flat surface with a protective paper backing upward. Remove the backing from the decal. Remember, always remove the backing from the decal. Never peel the decal from the backing. Using a clean sponge, apply detergent wetting solution, as we did with the wood grain overlay, to the decal's adhesive, as well as to the hood. Scuff sanding the painted surface is not recommended for this type of installation. Uncovered areas may be inadvertently scuffed. Apply the wetted decal to the hood immediately. Position the decal following the grease pencil marks. The wetting solution will permit the decal to slide about and be easily positioned. Squeegee from the center of the decal to the edges. Use firm overlapping strokes to remove all air bubbles and wetting solution. Some wetting solution on the decal surface will help the squeegee slide smoothly. Be sure to install the decal so that it conforms to any ridges or contours. Don't allow the decal to bridge any contours. Finally, remove the protective pre-mask and inspect the decal using reflected light from a shop light. Locate any irregularities that may have developed and remove any air bubbles or blisters. Applying pinstripes, such as those used on the Renault 18i, is just as easy. Many Renault vehicles use lacquer paint. Therefore, remove the old stripes only with the heat gun. Removal of pinstripes and adhesive on AMC and Jeep vehicles is exactly as with the wood grain overlay. For all vehicles, clean the panel, but don't scuff sand. Mark the stripe location with a grease pencil. Some stripes are pre-cut to the required size. Others may need to be cut to the approximate length. Then position the stripe on the panel and fasten it in place with small strips of masking tape. Be sure the stripe is lined up with the stripes on the adjacent panels. Lift the stripe using the masking tape as hinges. Next, wet the surface of the panel using the wetting solution. Now remove about 6 inches of the paper backing from one end. To avoid pre-adhesion or stretching of the stripe, do not remove more than 6 inches of the backing paper at a time. Then lower the stripe back into position and with firm strokes squeegee the stripe onto the panel while removing the backing. When required, wrap the door edges using a heat gun and remove the protective pre-mask. Last, clean the panel and remove any blisters or bubbles. There's nothing to it. Lettering type decals are easy too. They are applied just like stripes. That completes this training release on decals and overlays. You should now know the proper repair procedures. And the proper replacement procedures. Following these simple procedures, you can keep both new and used vehicles looking showroom new. The wall poster included with this release reviews all of these important procedures as well as a list of all the important materials needed. Keep it handy for ready reference on the job.